I'm excited for, a couple guys we're going to work in there. We've already worked in there. Devontae Davis being one, Josh Thompson. They're in a battle right now. So, obviously Josh being a little bit youthful, but we'll put them both out there, and job's open. Go win it. Know a little bit more tomorrow. Obviously I'd like to get through the whole week. Thursday's kind of the last of the physical preparation, but we're just going to move. We're going to move forward,
right.
And that's the good thing about that is all those guys that were on the second group, they're coached the same way as the first group. The demands are one and the same, and then it's, in my opinion, it's the next guy up.
Right. Of course, we were in here last week talking about Colton maybe being a defensive MVP. How do you just replace that type of production at play?
Well, like I said before, excited for Devontae and Josh. To fill the role up, and Chris understands that Chris has got to up his game too. So I mean, it's like I said before, and I'm excited about the guys stepping up because we train that way. We tell the guys it can happen any moment, so be prepared to go in.
You talked to Holton and what,
I have
put this into context.
Like I said before, and I don't want to be like rude in this situation with it, but Devontae Davis, Josh Thompson, let's get them ready. Let's get them ready to play, and like I said beforehand, I have every confidence in both those kids. I just can't tell you who it's going to be because I want them to finish the week out. I want to be fair to both kids.
Does that alter the dime personnel? Will Bonnie have to move somewhere?
It won't. It won't do anything to that part of it. Just plug and play and let's roll on to it because both those kids were not starters on that unit.
So it's just corner that's changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's Antoine done going in for PJ?
Good. I was really happy with. I was excited. PJ's the leadership qualities that he has and the playing experience he had. But we've been impressed with Antoine since fall camp. He's a physical guy. He made a couple physical plays in the game. There are some things he's not great at in comparison to PJ. I get that part of it. But, he has a lot of experience into him. He really, really cares, and he understands football. Mm-hmm. And I thought, throwing him in, TCU, away, let's see how he responds. I was really happy with the way he played.
Mm-hmm. Coach, Kansas had 21 yards of offense against TCU.
Yeah.
How do you make sure your guys are mentally ready for this weekend?
Put on last year's tape. I mean, it's not like they're coming into this game thinking like we can't beat. They already beat us. So they beat us with the same guys. So, I mean, listen, I wasn't here, okay? But I watched that game, okay? And, you could feel the emotion from that game. And if you're one of our kids and you go on that field thinking like you're going to roll your helmet out that we're Texas, that we're just going to beat you, you're ridiculous. So I think we try our best not to bring up the past because we're not the same team we were last year, especially defensively. We're not that. But if there's any motivation going into that game, if you think we're going to walk out there and just say, hey, we're here, this is what we are, then those kids, they're smart enough to understand that. We don't have to do that to them. All I look for, in my opinion, whether or not somebody's going to lay an egg or play well, is practice. That's all I go by. And we had a really good Tuesday practice followed by today. Really happy with our mindset and our focus, and we just keep pressing forward. Like I told the kids, I said, Saturday, you have 5 opportunities to practice, like counting walkthroughs. All Saturday is the percentage of how well you practice. That's it. So when you go on that field, these kids are going to play 6, or let's say they play 75 plays because they go a little bit of pace. It's 6 seconds of play. I don't know what that is, like 8.5, 9 minutes of doing something. And they're either prepared or they're not prepared. And it's what they do in practice. It's not going to be anything that goes into it. So I don't know what the preparation, I don't even care what the preparation was last year going into that game. But I know this, when you don't show up, it's normally because you haven't practiced well. And the last 2 days, I've been happy with the way we practiced, especially yesterday. Because yesterday was kind of like, it's Kansas. Everybody's saying this stuff with it. No, go out there and practice, and they did it the right way.
You didn't start off in dime last week.
Yeah.
TCU had some success. You went to dime, and it seemed like you were able to.
I came into it thinking like they were going to run the football, and that's the first part of it was, you kind of go back and forth before the game, and you say to yourself, okay, these guys want to run the football, kind of shorten the game, play their defense, don't do anything ridiculous, in the pass game, try to get turnovers. And that's how I thought So we came out with our nickel group, with Nate being a little bit bigger, the guys up front are a little bit bigger. It's sorted out that way, and then for whatever reason, they got some success on us, which in my opinion, they shouldn't have had any success running the football versus our biggest guys that were out there. So we kind of rotated into it, got a little bit settled in. In hindsight in that game, should have probably stayed in one personnel grouping and just settled the kids in. We get awfully anxious for whatever reason. Oklahoma, you come out the first series and we had 2 15-yard penalties over nonsense. So it's me learning our kids a little bit more, especially on the road, to just settle them in. Take a deep breath, relax, man. You guys are fine. You don't have to do anything outside of what we're teaching you, and I'll do a better job that way. But to answer your question, yes, we started off in nickel because I personally thought they were going to try to just stuff the ball down our face, knowing that we were maybe a little bit lighter in the lightning package.
How happy are you, though, with that dime package's ability to stop the run?
Yeah, I am. Those guys up front, the Hagers, and we're starting rolling Puna in there a little bit more, and they're doing an unbelievable job. They are. And then like we talked about, a couple of other guys, they're showing up and they're running to the football. So we'll kind of hone in on exactly what we want to get accomplished, and we'll keep rolling from there.
Can you? We talked to Gary yesterday, and he spoke a little bit about his process getting to Texas. Can you kind of describe the process of recruiting Gary and getting him from when you offered him to signing him?
Yeah, well, Gary started off in Houston. We recruited him at Houston, and there was some interest in us at Houston, but I don't think we're the bigger of the fish that he wanted. I think he liked me. I was real to him, and told him exactly, it was a good system for a guy to be in. And then it was kind of like he started getting the big boys, and I think he at one point verbal to Alabama, and then kind of whatever shook out with that. So when we got here from Houston, he was actually on the board of guys that the half staff was here recruiting, and I said, oh, I know that guy. So somebody actually reached out to him, and the second I called him up and I said, I'm at Texas, and he's like, I want to visit. So it was kind of one of those things where I think he was looking for a little bit more of a name than actually University of Houston, and got a chance to sit down with him. And we just hit it off. So it was one of those things. And like I said with Gary, it was simply making sure that he paid his dues. That at the end of the day, what you see out in that field, him running. I said that the very first time I was in here, but we're not going to reward guys until they do things collectively at a high percentage all the time. And then when he started doing that is when we started putting him on the field more, and then eventually he's where he's at right now.
Your red zone and third down production has been pretty well.
Yeah.
Have you been pretty satisfied with that?
I like where we're at third down wise. I think we can be better in the tight red zone. I don't like rushing touchdowns. That's me personally. We tell our kids, listen, if they throw a fade ball and Chris whiffs or whatever, I'm good. But to let somebody run the football, there's no worse feeling, because then we're all soft and we all look at each other. So that's the thing we got to get better at, is the rushing part of it. But to see some of the goal line stands that we've had, going back to SC and going back to last week, that shows me a little bit of grit, more grit than I've seen around here in a long time. And our kids are taking pride in that. But I think we can be better there. The third down stuff, we're in the top 10 in the country right now, which is good. But we got to create more explosive plays. That's the one thing that on Sunday we went in personally and we had a turnover circuit. Because if you look at us and study us, the games that we've won and the games that we've been really successful in was when we got in the football, set up the offense or gotten a ball and scored. So we got to get back into that mindset. I think we kind of filtered away with all this scheme, and it's like, hey, listen, try to strip the ball, second guy in. Let's get pick sixes. Let's get sacks. Let's create fumbles. Let's start doing that. So that was the biggest thing outside of emphasizing tight red zone that we worked on this week.
When you have guys who are put through a whole new regime, master putting gold, green, crimson. Some guys get a hot breakfast, some don't. Some guys get massages, some don't. And you don't get the wins that maybe you thought you were going to get.
There's always that. There's absolutely.
Are you seeing the guys still bought in?
We are, and it's a great question, because that's like anything in life. Is it like you start to question a little bit, and there has been none of it. Herm brought it up today. We just have flex and stretch, and Herm's on those guys. If they don't finish 2+ the line, or if they're not doing things the right way, then he'll call them back. And we've had no callbacks in 2 or 3 weeks. So that tells us a little something about the mentality. I think at the end of the day, those kids can see it, they can smell it, they know it's there, and now we just got to finish and go grab it. So I think it's a little bit less like we say, if we're losing games 52-10, then there's going to be guys that are going to be like, this is like ridiculous. But when you're so close to something and you know it's there, to try to keep pushing through it, and you know it's right. I think at the end of the day, the way that we explain things is about discipline. So, hey, we do this not because it's like, we're not doing it just to do it. We're doing it because it trains your mind to be disciplined. So when the game's on the line or it's a critical play or you got to make a check or you got to do something in the heat of the battle, you've actually trained your mind, not in a football sense, but just overall collectively to be accountable. And that's, I think our kids understand it because we do a good job of explaining it that way.
Todd, are you comfortable that your unit can carry this thing for 3 more games?
I don't think it's about that. We don't even talk that way. Like I said beforehand, we talked to the kids on Sunday, and I told them, I said, like, elite is like up here. Like, I've been on those things. I've been on like elite. I'm talking about go out in the field, and it's like, you don't even have to do, just make one call and stay out of their way. We're not that. We're not.
Well,
I mean,
I know that.
but my point being is, like, we go out and we try to be as dominant as we can. Okay, it's not an OD thing. It's not that about it. It's just strictly us trying to get collectively better at each spot. Like Breckenhager, I want you to be the best defensive end in the country. That's your goal. And then collectively, if Malik Jefferson's trying to do that, pull everybody together and work for each other. Like Malik knows that he will not be the best linebacker in the country unless Poona Ford is the best nose guard in the country. And to get them to think about it that way, okay, and will that help us? Yes, absolutely. Is that going to make us, play guys really well and what you say, quote unquote, carry? Maybe. But we don't bring that up. I stay away from that stuff because it's not about that. It's really not about that. It's like trying to get everybody to be great at what they're supposed to be. And there's a part of that that's like individual, but for them to understand that, like, if I go into a defensive staff room, I can't be the best unless Craig, Jason, and Oscar are the best. Right. And I want guys to think that way. So at some point, we can get to that level. We're not at that level right now, but we're working our tails off to try to get to it.
You kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but it seems like if an offense is going to get to this defense, it seems like they do it early, like they did get it against TCU. So how do you sort of guard against that over these last 3 weeks?
To me, it's probably simplify a little bit more in the beginning of games and just calm them down. I don't know exactly. I think from my standpoint, that's probably the easiest way to calm somebody down. It's almost like you're scripting the game for them in the beginning. So it's not a lot of thinking. They can react because it is a little bit different. When the more explosive the offense are, the more discrepancy from scout team looks. And I think sometimes you get into it, and it's like I see a receiver on a scout team that maybe can't take the top off a route, then all of a sudden I go out the very first play, and it's like, oh my goodness, look at the difference in the speed. So I probably have to do a better job of simplifying in the beginning of games so these guys are like, I can make every check, I can lock myself in, there's no thinking, and let's get accustomed with what's going on out here.
What does Devontae needed to do to take the next step in your
I just think it's fundamentals and techniques. That's it. And to me, he's got the talent. You see how tall he is. He's long. He's, very similar to the 2 other guys. And to me, it's just lock and focus himself in. That's it. Those guys will have like 5 to 7 techniques that they run the whole game. And if he can master those things, and that's what Jason's been working with him the whole time and saying, hey, the second that he does something a little bit outside of the, a fundamental or technique, he's on them. And that's the only way you learn is you trust those things and you apply it to the game.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, we need to continue to get better. We're still not playing consistent enough football, mistake-free football at times. And, we're our own worst enemy right now. If you watch the game closely, when you evaluate it on film, and it's just too many mistakes. We just have to continue to keep working. It's a young team in progress. It's an ever-changing lineup. That's the cards we've been dealt, and we have to continue to keep grinding and working. I love the guys that play, and we're excited about the future and the things that a bunch of those young guys are doing. And as a staff, as a coaching staff, we just have to continue to try to do the best job and continue to grind and work to give them the best chance to have success.
Tim, what can you do to help the line?
You know, we've tried some different things, you know, in terms of different types of blocking concepts and schemes. We've tried different types of pass combinations and routes. And again, there's improvement. You know, I really love, you know, it's just inconsistent. You know, all of a sudden we rattle off a big play and there's a penalty and it's a game changer. You go from 1st and 10 on the 40 to 2nd and 23 from the 19, and that's a huge swing when you're down 10 points in an offense like ours right now. That we're fighting for every yard. We're fighting for every yard. So, and we just continue to. I can't get into too much detail, obviously, because we're continuing to work on that, and we think we might have a plan this week to help them, but I can't disclose that, obviously.
But how much does it just hurt what you want to do when you're having to pull Cade in and leave a running back in with max protect, just to be able to give Shane any chance?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to win on the outsides when you're doing that, because you're a lot of you have 3 guys going out, and they're covering with everybody else. So, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of what it is. And again, we've put our brains together. There's a lot of smart guys in that room, and we've come up with we think a couple things that can help us. Cool. And we're going to continue to try to do that and find the right thing and get some of these guys back that have been injured.
Coach, are you able to move the pocket at all with somebody with the line the way that it is, or is that almost tough to do, at this moment?
You know, in theory, it's not a bad idea, and people try to do it. It's just you notice how you don't see a lot of people doing that in college football, because you can't expose your quarterback to scraping linebackers, and coverage can dictate. If they're clouding the field, you don't have a lot sprinting in the guy waiting for you. So that's some of the stuff you see in certain, like maybe when we're going to throw the ball, it's 3rd down, we're seeing that coverage. We're seeing that coverage. So you don't want to really go into that, because, yeah, the quarterback may have time, but he's going to throw the ball to a guy who's covered based on the coverage. So there's a lot of factors that go into game planning, and because you want to attack a team. You want to look at a team and say, here's where they're weak, let's get to them. And then you say, okay, but how, with our personnel, how do we do that? How do we attack a team? So sometimes you have to look and say, you have to make that decision. You say, heck with it, we're gonna do it anyways, and roll the dice and hope we can do it. Or you say, no, we're not going to do that. We can't do that, because we're going to expose ourselves or our weakness that we have, and we're not going to give our kids a better chance to win. Even though that's a good play versus that defense, we can't do that, because we're not going to be able to execute it based on maybe where we're at this time, or who we're asking to do it at that time.
Haven't been many draws.
Yeah.
That's
we had a couple last game. I think we lost 9 yards on the first one, and I think 8 on the second one.
It's not working for you. With Little Jordan Humphrey and Colin Johnson,
yeah,
are those guys, if they look covered, you throw it up high? And
we did in the game. I was happy Shane did that. And you have to be able to do that at times, to take those chances and have that confidence. I didn't think we did it enough. I wish we had done it a little bit more, because I think those guys and Dorian and those guys, they'll go get the ball. We need to do that a little bit more.
Like you said, inconsistency has been sort of a lingering issue.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that guys stay confident in themselves, in the system, when it's been so hard to maintain any sort of momentum on offense?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think when you watch the film and you sit down, again, the naked eye watching the game, and then sitting down and really watching the film, I think they see it. They look there and like, God, dog, man, if I'd have made that block, or man, if I'd have just caught that pass, we throw a swing pass and the guy's 4 yards out of bounds. I know he's going to run for 15 yards. We're going to be on the 20-yard line, 1st and goal. We're going to be in great shape, and he's 3 yards out of bounds with nobody around him. There were things like that when guys see it, I don't think there's a doubt factor when it comes to that. It's just, and you ask them, well, what happened? They're like, I don't know, Coach, because they're so eager to try and do well. Sometimes they're trying so hard, they're trying too hard. And so we're trying to not press, but we are pressing. We know that, and it's hard not to. But so they see it, I think. I think the other thing is I think they realize that we're really young, and they see it. I mean, they look out, and 1 minute this guy's playing, the next minute this guy's playing, the next minute Shane's a quarterback, the next minute Sam's a quarterback. So they kind of see the revolving door. It's hard to have any consistency when that's happening. I mean, I think that was the first game we started the same offensive line 2 games in a row all year, this past game. So that, I think guys understand that. Most people do. They see that.
Yeah, Todd still working at quarterback.
Not really. I mean, a little bit, but not as much. Yeah.
So you expect to have both quarterbacks available this
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah.
Do you expect to have Tennille back this week?
Yes.
Okay. What's going on with Okafor? What, is he just not up to snuff?
Yeah, you know, again, he's just a young pup, you know, and he's going to be a really, really good player, and he's gotten a lot better and he's improved. But you also have a senior and Nicholson, so you know I think they're splitting some time and they're getting a chance to play a little bit.
Coach, you've tried to simplify the offense. You've
Yeah.
rotated in different running backs, different receivers. You know, done different things on the offensive line. Did you feel like there's anything else that you can do? It seems like you're throwing everything at them but the kitchen sink.
You know, it's a good thing and a bad thing. You know, sometimes you can second guess yourself and look back and say, you know, let's just keep grinding and doing what we're doing. And we're trying to lay a foundation. I know you hear it from Coach Herman, and a lot of people don't understand, but it is true. We're trying to lay a foundation. The offense that we're going to run is going to be the offense. We don't want to be a makeshift gadget, here today, gone tomorrow, change next year again. These young men have gone through 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years, different offenses, different systems. We don't want to do that. And so, you know, we're overcoming injuries. We're overcoming a lot of youngness. We're overcoming, you know, just lack of our system and knowledge, just different things that are going on right now. But that's okay in terms of the big picture, because the big picture is they're getting a lot of experience. You know, I look at Cade Brewer, how well he's played as a young freshman. Imagine him in 2 years, the experience that he has, and then when he's bigger and stronger and he's blowing dudes off the ball and he's wrecking havoc. That's exciting now. I mean, that's exciting. Right now, is he the player he's going to be 2 years from now? No, he's not. I mean, you would hope not. From 18 to 22 years old, there's going to be a change. But it's exciting to see all those guys. The Tennille Carters, the Sams, the Danny Young. Look at him run the ball. I mean, wow, how do you not get excited over that, you know? And I mean, Derek Kerstetter, the way he's playing offensive line, he's been one of our most solid guys up front right now. So, I mean, there's a lot of bright things. Unfortunately, because of where we're at in the youngness, it stings, and there is inconsistency.
Are you surprised it's been a struggle? I think you guys are pretty.
I think the biggest thing about it is injuries. Probably it was interesting. One of the most devastating things was pregame at TCU. When I looked over, and our weight coach had Andrew Beck, Connor Williams, Elijah Rodriguez, Zach Shackelford, Tennille Carter, and Sam Ellinger working out in their shorts. That was the most frustrating thing. Go play that defense with those guys missing.
When you asked Orlando this, when you put guys through the Taskmaster stuff, the good hot breakfast versus cold breakfast, all that. Some guys get massages, some don't, and then you don't have the success. Guys tend to question, right? So, where is that element on the offense?
I don't. That's what I said. I don't know that. I don't see that. We don't feel that right now because, again, I think the players understand the big picture. The players looking, they saw the 6 guys, right? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they all want to play too, but they also know there's a lot of playing time in a Connor Williams and Zach Shackelford that's not playing, that are really good players, and Andrew Beck. You think we can use those guys? Sure. And I think our players know that. And I do think when they watch the film and they see if I ran this route at depth, or if I blocked this guy, or if I threw it to this guy like Coach told me to because he was open, then they're like, I got you, Coach. That's all. You know, they see some of that stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't sense like that. Palms up. What are we doing? How come we're not winning? I think they look at it. They see the effort. They see the toughness. They know it's going to come, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's just not. It's just not.
Do you think Beck and Rodriguez both come back next year? Even though.
Do I don't know. I mean, I don't know about who's coming, going, all that.
You know, Tim, talking about the big picture,
Yeah.
how difficult has it been for you guys as a staff at times? It could be very easy to just keep playing guys because they're getting all the stats, but I get the sense that you guys are really hammering. If you do not do this in practice the way you expected, you're not going to play on Saturday.
Yeah, right. And that's
how much about that is about that. What this season is about.
It'll always be about that. I mean, because that's going to be the foundation of our program. You can't just turn the switch on and off.
Mm-hmm.
You are who you are all the time. So if you're not going to do things right during the week, if you're not going to do things right that we ask you to do, then you're not going to play, regardless of what you can bring to the table until you fit into the culture that we need. Because once that happens, winning will happen. And you know, you've seen some of that through the course of the year with some guys not playing or sitting out a quarter or a half or whatever because they haven't done the right things. And so we have to continue to do that to build the foundation and build the program the right way, because it's about longevity. It's not about one season. We're not trying to just say, hey, look at us, we won 8, 9, 10 games. It's about building for championships, and you don't build them overnight. Nobody. And go back and look at any coach. I mean, any coach that's in there playing right now or that's in those top records, go look at their first year or two. Very few of them come out, and most of them are. I mean, we were talking about the other day. It was Georgia, where they, whatever they were, lost 5 or 6 games his first year. Now he's number 1 in the country in his second season because he built it the right way, and it's going to take some time.
But if y'all get, real quick follow-up, but if y'all get through this season, and even if it finishes 4-8 for that matter, and that message is delivered,
Right.
do you think that is good for the long term?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think it's good for the long term.
Because guys know what is expected.
Right. They know it's expected, and now you can move on to the next part of the things that need to be done.
Shane's obviously sacked 7 times against TCU.
Yeah.
Some guys, you know, quarterbacks get shell-shocked, or they're almost, you know, expecting to get hit. Do you see that at all? Do you think that's
I thought
he's expecting to get
I
hit?
thought in the game at times he did, yes.
So
I told him that, and I told him I felt like he was feeling the rush or looking at the rush a little bit too much than he should have. Had his eyes up the field a little bit more. We ran one play in particular. I know it's a, 1, 2, 3 hits, throw the ball, and he didn't. And he couldn't tell me why, but when you look at the film, you can kind of see his head down as opposed to up, and get a feel of he was trying to see is somebody getting through or not, and can't do that. Can't do that.
The confidence level, Tim. You want week-to-week improvement. Obviously,
yeah.
No matter where your baseline is. Do you see confident players, or do you see them losing confidence with the 3 and outs?
The thing that gets frustrating is the here we go again. That's what we're trying to avoid. Our practices are spirited. They're upbeat. They listen, they go out and they perform, and they work really hard. And we have to be able to do that in the course of the game. And there's going to be trials and tribulations, and there's going to be things that don't go right. Our problem is a little bit, guys are waiting to make a play. Somebody make a play so we can get excited and get going again. Instead of, Coach, I'll make the play. At times we're missing some of that in the course of the game. Who is that guy? Ask yourselves. Who's that guy when you look and say, that guy, boy, he makes plays all. Who is it? So that's the thing. The thing right now that we keep harping to our guys is, hey, don't wait. Go make that play. Go be that guy that makes that play right now, because there's very capable guys that can go out there and do it. Quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, receivers, O-line, making big blocks, doing it, whoever it is. But I thought in the TCU game, when we had that one good drive and had the tempo, went down, and then felt like things were going, we were moving a little bit. We came out, second half, a couple things didn't go our way, and then all of a sudden it was almost like, here we go. and somebody make a play so we can get excited again, you know. And we need to make sure that we're doing that as coaches and players to get that momentum and get that thing going.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.